The galaxy had grown used to Earth's quiet. After decades of interstellar tension, the humans had done what no other species dared. They withdrew from every council meeting, cut off diplomatic channels, and blacked out their transmissions. The stars themselves seemed to fall silent in the wake of their absence, as if the void was holding its breath. At first, the galaxy celebrated. The humans were loud, disruptive, dangerous in ways no one could quite predict. Their technology advanced at a pace that left other civilizations scrambling to keep up, and their fleets, while small, carried a precision and lethality that made admirals nervous. To see them retreat into the blue marble they called home felt like a relief. But that relief did not last. The war did not begin with a fleet. It began with a spark, an incident the Council tried to frame as unfortunate but necessary. A convoy of human relief ships bound for a neutral world was seized and dismantled by a coalition task force. The crews were taken, their cargo stripped. Only later did the galaxy learn that most of those crews never made it to a prison cell. Humanity never responded with words. Their silence stretched on, month after month, until even the most hardened council ministers began to feel uneasy. Traders reported that Earth's orbital lanes were locked down. Shipyards, which had long sat dormant, glowed again with molten light. Mining operations on Luna and Mars tripled in scale. And in the Oort cloud, faint sensor ghosts hinted at something vast being assembled in the darkness. Still, the Council did nothing, or rather, they did worse than nothing. They doubled down, emboldened by the lack of retaliation. When the first human colony world fell under protective occupation, they assumed Earth would yield. Instead, Earth went completely dark. And then came the message. It wasn't a broadcast over standard channels. It wasn't a diplomatic communiqué. It came as a single pulse, an encoded transmission carried by a probe that emerged from Sol's heliopause at impossible speed. It arrived in the capital system of the Galactic Council like a dagger. When the encryption broke, the chamber went silent. On every hollow, the same figure appeared, a human, draped in black, the stars of Earth's sky burning behind him. His voice was calm, steady, every syllable carrying the weight of inevitability. This is Earth's final message to the galaxy. You made this choice. You slaughtered our people. You burned our colonies. You brought war to us, and now you will pay the ultimate price. The message ended there. No demands. No plea for peace. The session dissolved into chaos. Some species shouted for immediate surrender, others for preemptive strikes, but none could deny the creeping dread that coiled around the room. Humanity had not threatened war, they had promised it. Admiral Kasath of the Kthari Dominion stood in orbit above the Council capital when the first reports came in. Another fleet, his aide asked, his mandibles clicking nervously. No, Kasath growled, scanning the data feeds. Not a fleet. Something worse. Ships were vanishing. Not just isolated patrols, entire battle groups, blinked off the star charts as if erased. A sensor array 3 systems away recorded a flare of white light, like a newborn star, followed by a shockwave that shattered its instruments. Then came the refugees. Thousands of ships fled border systems, their crews babbling about black silhouettes gliding through the void, weapons striking before any could react. Stations were found gutted, their command cores slagged, no survivors left aboard. And still, there was no word from Earth. Kasath had fought humans before, in the small border skirmishes that dotted their early expansion. He remembered how they fought, not with the precision of the Vora, nor the overwhelming force of the Kale, but with a brutal efficiency that defied logic. They adapted in battle, shifting tactics mid-conflict in ways no machine or council-trained commander ever could. They turned losing engagements into victories through sheer audacity. If they had spent these years building something, anything, that reflected that same spirit. The Admiral suppressed a shiver. Weeks passed. The reports multiplied. And then, one night, the sky above the council capital lit up with streaks of fire. A shadow appeared at the edge of the system, massive, angular, radiating power like a second sun. The defense grid activated instantly, hundreds of automated batteries locking on to the intruder. The shadow did not fire. Instead, it opened a channel. The same human figure appeared, larger this time, his features illuminated by the glow of war. "You were given every chance," the voice said. "But you kept coming. You thought our silence meant surrender. You were wrong. The storm has come." And then the transmission cut. At that same moment, the shadow moved. It wasn't just a ship, it was a carrier, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. From its flanks poured hundreds of smaller vessels, each bristling with weapons never recorded in any council archive. They descended in perfect formation, cutting through the void like blades. The first orbital station exploded in a blossom of white fire. Panic swept the system. The council fleets scrambled, but their lines were broken before they could form. Ships vanished under barrages of precision strikes. Gravity wells collapsed. Defenses meant to hold against any known enemy fell in minutes. And in the chaos, Earth's fleet spoke only once more. "This is not conquest. This is consequence." The message repeated in every language of the Council as the system burned. By dawn, the Council capital was under blockade. Kasath stood at the viewport of his flagship, watching the burning remains of the outer station spiral down into the planet's atmosphere. He felt no triumph, no rage, only a cold, hollow understanding. Humanity had not simply come to fight. They had come to end this war, completely, absolutely, and in a way the galaxy would never forget. And it was only the beginning. The galaxy had known war before, border disputes, trade skirmishes, the occasional purge of a rogue pirate faction. But what fell upon them now was not war. It was judgment. The humans moved like predators, their fleets emerging from the void without warning, striking where the council was weakest. Hyperlanes were collapsed, supply lines severed. Systems that had once been proud bastions of power were reduced to smoking ruins before their defenders could even rally. And through it all, Earth remained silent. Every broadcast, every intercepted transmission carried the same chilling phrase, repeated in every tongue known to the stars. "You made this choice." The words were not shouted. They were not triumphant. They were delivered with the calm precision of a death sentence. Admiral Kasath had seen enough battles to know when a war was lost. He had commanded fleets against pirates, insurgents, even the rare rogue AI, but never had he witnessed such complete dominance. The humans fought with a strategy that defied the Council's logic. They did not simply destroy military targets, they dismantled the infrastructure of war. Orbital foundries were vaporized. Shipyards gutted. Comms relays burned out, isolating entire sectors. "They're cutting the spine of the galaxy," Kasath muttered, his claws curling against the holotable. His aide, pale with fear, spoke quietly. "If they keep this pace, we won't just lose fleets. We'll lose the ability to fight at all." Kasath said nothing. The aide was right, but saying it aloud made the truth harder to bear. On the far side of the galaxy, the fighting reached a new level of terror. The human supercarrier, codenamed Nemesis by terrified Council analysts, deployed something the galaxy had never seen before. They called them vessels, autonomous strike craft that moved with frightening precision. Each was no larger than a fighter, but they carried weapons that could gut a cruiser in seconds. Worse, they learned. Every engagement saw the vessels grow faster, deadlier, as if they were adapting to enemy tactics in real time. A formation that managed to take one down would find the next encounter twice as difficult. The Council High Command issued desperate orders: concentrate fleets, fortify strongholds, deny the humans their momentum. It didn't matter. The humans wanted them concentrated. In the Melshar cluster, the Council assembled the largest battle fleet in centuries, 8,000 warships, 30 fortress stations, and a wall of automated turrets. It was supposed to be an unbreakable bulwark. It lasted less than an hour. Witnesses who survived described a sky lit with artificial lightning, entire battle lines erased in sheets of white fire. The humans had unleashed something vast, a weapon that split space itself, tearing apart enemy formations before they could even fire. The Council sent out a plea for negotiations. Earth did not respond. By now, panic had become universal. Civilian worlds rioted, screaming for their leaders to surrender before the humans turned their wrath upon them. Entire sectors defected from the Council, offering humanity unconditional capitulation if they would be spared. But humanity accepted no terms. Instead, they broadcast a new message, short, terrible, and final. This ends when you can no longer raise a weapon against us. Not before. Kasatha's fleet had been spared direct engagement so far, but only because he had refused to join the Council's doomed counteroffensives. He had ordered his ships to withdraw to the far rim, hoping to avoid notice. It hadn't worked. On the sixth night, as his fleet drifted in deep space, the humans found him. The Nemesis appeared like a phantom, its massive silhouette blotting out the stars. Kasatha's comms lit up, not with a threat, but with an invitation. The human commander appeared on his view screen, the same figure who had delivered the galaxy's death sentence. His expression was unreadable, his voice calm. Admiral Kasath. You were there when the Council chose war. Kasath stiffened. Yes. You were one of the few who argued against it. For that, you and your crews will be spared. Leave this war behind you. Do not interfere again. The transmission ended. No ultimatum. No demand for loyalty. Just mercy, mercy given once. Kasatha's claws trembled against the armrest. He had never feared an enemy more than he feared this one. And then, as if to hammer the point home, the Nemesis demonstrated what awaited those who refused to yield. It opened fire on a Council armada massing 2 systems away. Kasath watched the feed in silence. In 37 minutes, the armada was gone. Not defeated, erased. The war was no longer a war. It was a purge. And yet, somewhere deep within Kasatha's chest, a strange feeling took root, not hatred, not even despair. Respect. The humans were not fighting for conquest, not for glory. They were fighting to make certain this could never happen again. For the first time, Kasath understood. Humanity was not the monster the Council had claimed they were. They were the reckoning. When news reached him that the humans had begun their march toward the Council's throne world, the very heart of the Galactic Order, Kasath gave the only order he could. Prepare the fleet. We follow them. His aide's eyes widened. Follow? To fight? Kasath shook his head. No, he said quietly. To bear witness. If the galaxy must pay its price, we will watch it paid, and we will remember. By the time Kasatha's fleet entered the throne world system, the sky was already on fire. Human warships moved like wraiths through the void, precision-striking defenses, cutting apart entire orbital rings with surgical blasts. The Council's last defenders fought valiantly, but it was hopeless. And then, through the smoke and chaos, the Nemesis descended. The final phase of Earth's retribution had begun. The throne world burned. From orbit, the sight was almost beautiful, city spires glowing like candles, entire oceans reflecting the red of firestorms that consumed the surface. The defense grid had fallen within hours. The planetary shields, which had held for centuries against every invader, now lay shattered in orbit like broken glass. Humanity had not come to occupy. They had not come to negotiate. They had come to end. Admiral Kasath stood at the observation deck of his flagship, staring down at the Council's seat of power as it fell apart piece by piece. This was the center of the galaxy, his aide whispered. The heart of everything we built. Kasatha's throat tightened. And we poisoned that heart long ago. The humans are just cutting it out. He could not look away from what came next. The Nemesis entered low orbit, its vast shadow sweeping across the capital's burning continents. It was not merely a warship, it was a sentence passed by an entire species. From its belly, dropships rained like meteors, descending toward every military installation, every government complex, every place where the war had been planned. But they did not strike civilians. This was the most unnerving thing of all, the precision, the control. Humanity was not here to annihilate indiscriminately. They were here to remove those who had chosen this war. One by one, the voices of the Council's high command went silent. Bunkers were breached with pinpoint strikes. Palaces were leveled. Even the deepest vaults, thought untouchable, were opened and cleared. And through it all, the human broadcast played again and again. This is not conquest. This is consequence. This ends when you can no longer raise a weapon against us. By dawn, the war was over. The council had fallen. In the great central plaza of the capital, what remained of the council ministers were gathered under heavy guard. The humans did not parade them in chains, did not humiliate them before their citizens. They simply stood there, silent, as the human commander descended from the Nemesis. The figure was the same one who had delivered the first message, tall, solemn, dressed in the black of mourning. The plaza grew so quiet that even the burning of distant fires could be heard. He spoke, and his words were carried across the planet, across the stars, across every surviving comm relay in the galaxy. You made this choice. His voice was calm, as though speaking a simple truth. You believed Earth would kneel. You slaughtered our unarmed, burned our worlds, and called it peacekeeping. You mistook our silence for weakness. You thought we would beg for mercy. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the broken ministers, over the crowds, over the cameras transmitting his face to billions of worlds. But we are human. And we do not beg. The words hit like a hammer. Even Kasath, hardened veteran that he was, felt a chill crawl down his spine. This is not vengeance. This is justice. The galaxy is free to rise again, without the tyranny of those who started this war. But let it be remembered, if ever you come for us again, we will answer the same way. And then, for the first time since the war began, he said the words no one expected. We are done. The Nemesis withdrew. One by one, the human fleets pulled back from the throne world, leaving behind nothing but the smoldering ruins of military might. They did not occupy. They did not enslave. They simply left, their mission complete. Kasath watched them go, his claws digging into the railing. There was no cheer from the survivors, no celebration of liberation. The silence was too heavy, the weight of what had happened too great. The galaxy would rebuild, yes. But it would rebuild knowing this truth. Humanity had the power to destroy them, and chose not to. That choice, Kasath realized, was the most terrifying thing of all. Weeks later, transmissions from Earth resumed, not threats, not boasts, but quiet, measured words. We will not join your councils. We will not sit in your courts. But we will watch. And if ever you try to take from us what is ours again, know that we will answer, and next time, there will be no throne world left to burn. The message ended, and the galaxy remained silent. Not from fear. From respect. Admiral Kasath stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the empty stars where the Nemesis had vanished. His aide approached cautiously. What happens now? Kasath turned slowly, his voice quiet but certain. Now, he said, the galaxy remembers. Far beyond the throne world, on the quiet blue planet where it had all begun, the people of Earth stood beneath their own sky, their own stars, and for the first time in years, they were at peace. They had not sought this war. But they had finished it. And their final message still echoed across the stars, a warning and a promise. You made this choice. Now pay the ultimate price.